I was not expecting to make a video today, but we got a hot news drop for both the CDL and the 2023 Call of Duty expansion. So I gotta make a video because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's get right into it. As soon as this game came out, we all were thinking that the next Call of Duty was gonna be free. It was gonna be just a free update for Modern Warfare 2. As they said, we're gonna have one game for 2 releases, but we're dealing with some greedy folk, with some greedy people here. Thanks to Charlie Intel, great Twitter to follow. Sledgehammer Games is developing the paid content expansion for Modern Warfare 2, releasing in 2023, probably around November again. And the expansion will have a lot of content and most likely be $70. Treyarch's game is still in 2024. So it's normally Infinity Ward, Treyarch, then Sledgehammer. So it looks like Sledgehammer is gonna get kicked in the butt again. Literally 1 year to work on the next, which from some other things I've read, it looks like it's going to be a multiplayer expansion and a new campaign release. So even though it'll still be called Modern Warfare 2, it's going to be a new campaign, new multiplayer. As we saw in some other posts, it's going to be like the old multiplayer maps from Modern Warfare 2. I don't know what Sledgehammer is doing, if they're going to make more new maps and like get rid of the old maps. Looking to the future, I do think new maps completely, like getting rid of all Modern Warfare to 2022 maps would be the best option, and I think it'd bring the most freshness to it. If we have to play the same maps again in year 2, there's no way I could see the Call of Duty community being okay with that. And if you have to see 2 years of the CDL of the same maps again in the same pools, that'd be a very dry experience. And I was expecting that. I was expecting all new maps in terms of the old maps coming back. But if Sledgehammer is kind of developing it, we could expect to see new maps, and I think that's the only option that works in this situation. So hopefully that they can continue that. We don't have any other information. This was all just found in a document made by Activision talking about their money aspect. So there's not much else to go off of. This was just gleaned off that chart. So I'm sure in the future we're going to get some more information. Not anytime soon, as the game obviously just came out and they still have 6 months to talk about the next game. But yeah, this is huge. And I know a lot of Call of Duty players are probably going to be sad that they do have to pay $70 for the next one. For me, I did not expect. I mean, I've said it because they made it seem that way, saying only one game for 2 years. So all of us just assumed it, and we didn't think much else after. But I mean, I'm okay paying the $70 as long as the new experience feels fresh and feels new, and we don't have to deal with the same stuff for 2 years. As it's just not in Call of Duty, it's not in any of our blood as players to really play the same maps for 2 years. I think it would get really stale, and I'm glad that they understood that. It'd be nice if it was free, but that's not the world we live in. So, and before we get into the maps, Pred just made a comment about an hour or two ago saying, "Bocage remastered, please." I'm actually on him. I'm with him here. I don't think there's any map, and I know Bocage is a hot topic for the CDL, in where half the league I felt like didn't like it, half the league liked it. I just think this is classic Call of Duty. This is really a fun map that brings out all the fun of Call of Duty, and I wish that. I mean, I don't wish it to come back because obviously it's not. Maybe next year, since Sledgehammer is making it, making the second year release in 2023. But I just feel like this map is underrated, and I just don't feel like at this point that Modern Warfare 2 has any maps that really bring the same fun Call of Duty aspect out like this one did. So I'm with you, Pred. Love you. So that was my prediction. And the maps have we finally have the confirmed map pools for Call of Duty. So let's go straight into S&D. So thank you, CDL Intel, another great Twitter to follow. So we have the Search and Destroy map pool. We got 4 of them. Always good that we're not stuck to 3. I think 4 is a good amount to start with. But so Embassy, Farm 18, Mercado, and Asilo. So one big aspect that I've gotten wrong is Mercado. And this might just be a very personal opinion, but just a little spoiler, every single game mode has Mercado right now in the confirmed map pools. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Mercado. I just thought from the layout of Mercado and the smallness of the map with just the lanes. I just didn't feel like the map was open enough or gave enough of a competitive map to allow for these game modes to occur, and I just personally do not have too much fun with it for those reasons. But I am completely wrong on Mercado, so I look like an idiot. But yeah, so Mercado is going to be in the Search and Destroy. We've seen a little bit of gameplay from it. Whenever I watch it with the pros playing it, it never looks great to me. I did say, however, let's go real quick. I did, however, say Embassy and El Asilo would be in, and boom, I got those. So if you watched the video, I did mention how I feel like these maps do play pretty well, and I feel like Embassy, the only map, I feel like for Embassy, Search and Destroy was the only map where I felt like, okay, you can play a little slow, you can go up top, go low, you don't have to run through that middle as much through S&D like you do with Hardpoint and such, which I feel like that area is just not fun and not competitive, and so I did feel that way, so I'm good. We're good there. And then El Asilo, this just felt like a map, again, where we have these long stretches for snipers and ARs. You got a whole middle ground, but you also run around the outside a little bit through these hidden walls, and it just felt like a good map from what I've seen as well. So those two did feel really good to me. And I think I did say Farm 18 as well, which, we got it. Okay, so I got all three right. Mercado is wrong. And I also probably said Bringberg would have worked. The problem is Bringberg is not on any map pool at this moment. So Bringberg is out. We don't know if it's going to come back in later on if they can get the rights to it. I think that is one of the biggest failures of Call of Duty this year. Like, by far, other than all the issues we've seen, not in terms of like programming and like the issues of bugs, but like just in terms of their choices of Dead Silence and minimaps, but just the fact that they don't have the rights to Royal Raceway and Bringberg. Because if you see here, I did not even put Nada. I put Nada for Crown Raceway as well because of the copyrights. I would have thought it would have played well in some modes, but yeah, it looks like Bringberg's out. I did say that I'm gonna put this in multiple, but it's probably gonna be out, which is not. Huge failure. I feel like I feel like Bringberg Hotel is the best map for every game mode. Like, if there's gonna be one map that could suit everything well and actually be playable and fun, I feel like that was the best one. So huge L. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, Search and Destroy. From all these we've got, I've got to say, I think El Asilo will play the best. Yeah, I mean, I think this won't be awful. I think this will be awful in every single game mode. As we have in every single game mode, I think Mercado's going to be the worst in every one. And if you don't feel that way, I would love to see in the comments why you think that. I just have a hard time believing I'm going to have fun playing any of them on here or have fun watching. It will be a little mixy, so that'll improve it. Whereas Gavitu was unbearable because it sucked, but it was also slower paced, so it was kind of hard to watch. But this will have the improvement of being a little more mixier, which would be nice. But yeah, I think El Asilo will play the best here. It gives me some Modern Warfare 2019 vibes a little bit, and even though that game was bad for S&D, I do think this game will be a good S&D game. Just from my experience playing, coming from Cold War and Vanguard, this one just feels really nice. Okay, so Control. This is the one I have probably the most thoughts. I think, so we've had Control since Black Ops 4, Modern Warfare, Cold War, Vanguard, and now Modern Warfare 2022. So that's 5 games. I was gone, so I wasn't able to watch Black Ops 4. I wasn't able to watch Black Ops 4 live, but from what I've seen from the highlights and everything, going back and watching a bunch of the tournaments, that game seemed really solid for Control. Modern Warfare 2019 seems extremely average, if lower average. Cold War was probably the best of the last 5 years, and then Vanguard had ups and downs, but still average to below average. This game, I think, is going to definitely take the cake for easily the worst playing and watching Control experience. Mercado, again, the map sucks. I am willing to have my mind changed by playing it. But at this point, I just have such a hard time believing that this will be fun to play Control. There's no long sight lines. A and B, I don't know where they're going to rest. I'm sure I could look it up, but I haven't yet. Wherever the points are, there's just no long sights to like hold down points. It's just the map is not well made. I'm sorry, that's my perspective, and I think it's gonna be not fun to watch or play. And then Embassy, again, like I've been saying, this map I think plays well in S&D, but I do not. I think it'll play terribly. Again, we have not played Control, but I don't think I've seen Control on this map either. But just the way it's set up, it's gonna be AR heaven. You're just gonna be running to the point, and then the defense is going to be in the high points or down the long lanes, and just sitting and watching and killing. This might be a three AR map on defense. Get your flex on AR2 and have one SMG roaming, just because of the way the map is set up. Again, not sure where the points are going to be, but I just think this is my prediction: worst Control of the last 5 years. Now, 2 maps for only Control, that's not going to last. We've seen every game, they've always upped the controls. And we're also going to be getting Stonehaven, if you remember that map from Ghosts. That map is going to be reintroduced in Season 1. So, hopefully with some of the maps introduced in Season 1, Stonehaven, I don't remember how well that map played in competitive. But, for multiplayer, I remember having decent experience. Well, we'll see if that gets added to any of these pools. But just for Season 1 and probably the first, for the first event in Raleigh, we only have 2, which is not a shocker, but we can expect more to come, and hopefully we can get some of these kicked out. And then lastly, we got confirmed hardpoint map pool. So, so they said no Greenberg Hotel with a thumbs up. I don't know why the thumbs up if they don't like the hotel map. I think that map would play the best out of here. And again, we have Embassy and Mercado. So Embassy and Mercado seem to be the 2 solid maps that they believe. Like last year we had Tuscan and Berlin. Those were like the 2 maps that played in everything, and it's like those 2 maps you needed to have in your map pool to be a competitive team. These 2 maps seem to be the ones which really suck. Again, looking back, right, I only had Embassy for S&D and nada for Mercado, but it's going to be in every single one. So I failed there again. But with Hardpoint, we also got Hydro and Fortress. So where's my Hydro? I put in multiple, so I'm wrong there. Hydro is only Hardpoint at this point. But I was right with Fortress. And then looks like Tarek is not in at all. Which, honestly, I mean, looking back on what I've said, I easily could have kept the Sonata. But for some reason, I just needed more numbers on my maps. And I wasn't certain which ones would get in. So this one felt like a one I could edge in there. But, yeah, wrong there. But I was close. I'm taking Tarek out. So, yeah, I do think, okay, I will not like Embassy for Hardpoint. I know that. But Mercado, I think, could be a slight enjoyment for playing and watching. But I think Mercado has too many hardpoints again. It doesn't have the perfect 5 hardpoints. So we're hoping that Infinity Ward can come in and fix some of these hardpoints. But yeah, I think Fortress will give us that fun mixy map where it's not too mixy, but gives us that COD feeling for Hardpoint. I think this will be a solid map. I think Hydro will be solid as long as the water mechanics aren't screwing things up. We've seen Rambo Ray, the head coach for Optic. He's mentioned Hydro, like, we cannot have this map in competitive. Having, like, 2 people run into the water and flank through the water. Because it's weird. In Call of Duty, you just look at what's on the ground, and you can make your plays based off of watching the crosses and whatnot. You have an AR watching a mid-cross, and if it crosses, you know where people are kind of at, roughly. But with water, that's completely gone off the tables. So I could see that being one aspect of Hydro that a lot of players and coaches do not like. I think it'd be good for viewing experiences, but in terms of the players and having a competitive game where usually you can watch those crosses and see where people are, I think that the water aspect could really screw things up. I think it will make for a fun viewership, and just seeing people make plays, jumping into the water, going down, coming back up, flanking around. I think that'll be fun, and I think it'll be solid. So, I mean, that's just a problem the players have to get through. So I'm not gonna say anything about that, as I'm not a coach or a player, so I don't care. But yeah, those two seem solid. Mercado could be like a very C+, B- map for Hardpoint. Again, I don't like how small the map is and how it's gonna be hard to get those transitions and like get behind the enemy and take their spawns out. But yeah, again, I could see this playing better than I'm thinking. I think Embassy will suck, personally. But again, I'm very willing to keep my mind open. So out of all three we've got Search, Control, and Hardpoint. Again, Control is going to be, I think, the worst we've seen in the last 5 years. Search and Hardpoint both seem to be starting off on a good point, on a good step. However, again, I think not having Hotel or Crown Raceway in, due to the copyright issues, these maps could have easily been in, and I think that is just the biggest fail that Call of Duty's had in the last 5 years. Again, talking about Control, I cannot believe that they had to copy the cosmetics of the real life place, not get the rights to it, and then literally right before the beta, during the game release, all these issues are now mounting on 3 different maps. Right, Crown Raceway, Greenberg, or is it only 2? I think it's actually only 2. But yeah, like I think that is their biggest flop so far of this game. It's not even the other issues that we don't like in terms of Dead Silence. It's that. And if we had these in, I've been seeing the pros like today. The Optic scrimmed Minnesota Rocker on Bringberg. They played Control, and it just looked fun. It looked good. It looked competitive. It looked very like 50-50. I think the best Control maps are the ones where there is no offensive or defensive edge. It's more on, I mean, I guess I would say a slight like 60% edge for defense and 40% for offense, just so that you have something to play for if it goes to around 5. But yeah, seeing them, it looked really nice. And I'm so mad it's not in. You know, Dashy did say he thought it was going to be in on the game for the first event and then leave after, but it's not even making its way in the first event. Again, Crown Raceway I think would have been solid. I haven't seen anyone really play it scrim-wise, and I don't know how to play, but just from my experience through multiplayer, it seems really fun. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to like and subscribe and watch some other videos from Midnight Release.